Hi, good afternoon. Can you lift? I used to do this in high school, just to confirm that my audience are with me. Good. So, my name is Lucas Omolo, manager in charge of ICT and smart cities at Konza Technopolis. We are very happy to participate in this forum and platform. I know quite a number of our partners are here. I really want to take this opportunity to congratulate the team that we worked with to plan this event, DX5, CIO, Thunderbird, and of course, our ministry, and of course, to the audience who are here with us today. So for me, first of all, let me put a disclaimer that my bosses are here, so I'll really try to behave. So as I make my remarks, and of course, there's a lot that has been shared. I echo a number of speakers and their sentiment. Phyllis has really shared quite a lot. Some of the items that I'll also just now bring another perspective as we look at digital transformation in government, because why this topic is important. You see, government across the globe are meant to serve businesses, are meant to serve people. So therefore, the transformation that we've seen, because we've seen a trend in the past where private sector have gone ahead in terms of digitally transforming to ensure that they are competitive, and of course, they keep pace with the emerging needs of the client or customers that they face. So for us at Konza, Konza is a key flagship project. Just before I go to my topic, a key flagship project of our Vision 2030 that was also meant to help the country transform and advance matters innovation, matters IT and IT-enabled services, while at the same time enable us create a robust ecosystem that will make us, as a country, a technology hub for this region. And that is why it is for us very deliberate that as we do, or as we execute our mandate, the partnership and collaboration in building that smart city is critical. And we've done so, we've seen the potential that partners bring, especially when you open the door, and you're able to move much faster to realize, because we know also technology changes, and smart cities like Konza that heavily rely on technology to provide services to their residents, then it means we'll have to create a very agile and innovative environment that help us bring that ecosystem, but also now even build solutions. These solutions, we know, can be consumed locally, and one of the sector is public, which I'll be speaking to, and also private sector. While as we do all those, we'll also be creating opportunities in terms of jobs for the innovators and so forth. So that is a platform that we are creating at Konza. We've opened up the space, and our phase one, in terms of horizontal infrastructure, we are almost through. We are currently just doing commissioning. And I will also be inviting most of us to visit the Technopolis, because it is our first smart city as a country. We know it could be a destination that will inform other smart cities that will happen. I know Philip earlier on had shared, even in terms of the expected growth towards urbanization. So smart cities like Konza offer that flexible or adaptable destination where citizens find opportunities, but are able also to innovate. So we are anchored on 3 clusters, ICT and IC-enabled services. That is exactly why we are here. That is one key pillar for Konza. And of course, we want to do so by ensuring that we have the right infrastructure that supports us and supports our partners and support the country. And of course, use that infrastructure now to offer services in terms of IT-enabled services. Then of course, life sciences, because also as a city, the population must be healthy. Otherwise, your destination will be a ghost one without people. So these people must be healthy, productive, in order to positively contribute to the growth of the economy. And of course, engineering is one other key cluster for us at Konza, where we are looking at how, as a country, we can basically build capacities on emerging engineering disciplines. This could be IoT engineering, chemical engineering, AI, and those other disciplines that when we're able now to get the right talent, then it means we'll be able now to advance manufacturing, we're able to advance industries, and those will open up other opportunities for jobs. Looking at being innovative as a country, we know in the past there are sectors that we've done so well. So we are creating new value chain for the economy. And of course, each of those clusters at Konza is supported by or driven by research and development, education, and of course the commercial side, because that speaks to sustainability. And now back to the topic on digitization and public service, what is happening. I'll probably just share a few of the initiatives or areas we are working on with our partners on that space. But I think these statistics are for around 2021 by Gartner, that at that point, that probably now it has reduced to some extent, that 80% of governments were at the initial phase of digitally transforming. So you could see how this was across the globe. But then at that phase, we're already feeling the heat to digitally transform around 2021. But then McKinsey tells us that now there is value that both private and public institutions will derive from digital transformation. And I know some of these have been mentioned, but we're saying in terms of customer satisfaction. Everyone has a customer, including government. So close to 20% customer satisfaction will be derived from a digitally transformed workflow, a digitally transformed business. Then, of course, high efficiency in terms of how the organization will operate, cut its cost, and other sorts of things. So that will also be a key value. And of course, improving employee engagement. Phyllis had mentioned something about soft skills and the people side of a digital transformation journey. So you could see those are very important, because when employees feel engaged and empowered digitally and they're able now to do their work more efficiently, then that contributes to high performance. I think all this, and even at the backdrop of COVID, is anchored on a number of things that now we are saying the future is now, it is today. There is no any other future as far as digital transformation is concerned. It is today, because we've seen how now, even in our workplace, has changed from how it used to be. How people now some want to work at home, want to work as they move on the go, and all other dynamics in terms of the workplace. Then, of course, even the business models, how you get products, goods, and services, that has also changed. You don't have to traditionally visit a particular destination to procure. Citizens also, who we serve, especially in government, now their needs with this transformation has also changed. So they want us to provide services differently through platform. They want to access these things through mobile phones, so that they are not limited to visiting government offices. So all those have changed, including businesses. Starting a business, they'll want now government to support them, so that in your home you're able now to start your business. But there are also other collaborations like chat and voice that has to be embedded, including even entertainment. People now want to work as they get entertained. And of course, the autonomous technologies are also driving digital transformation. So all this we've seen are key potentials that are now making it really, as government, feeling that heat to transform. And we're happy that even the current administration has put, and as the priority is to see how government will transform and adopt the transformation. But then I'll be sharing some use cases. Now, I'll not dwell much, because I also had Estonia. Estonia has been a good case mentioned here by close to 3 speakers. But I'll just want to, as I mention those cases, I'll be speaking to some pillars that those countries we're able to leverage on. And therefore, as a government, as private sector, as a country, we need then now to see how we build on those blocks or lessons that we can draw, so that as we talk about digital transformation, we've drawn some lessons that can help us move much faster. So you could see the aspect of cloud adoption and countries coming up with strategies for cloud transformation, digitization, and so forth, is something that has been done across the globe. So not only our country, and that's why I think there's been a lot of focus that we have to lead. We've demonstrated this in this continent, and we have to continue to do so. So in terms of cloud strategies and cloud adoption, most governments have defined specific roadmaps, plans on how they can transform, they can help their governments move forward and digitally transform the operations through cloud adoption. It is not new. But then when you go to Singapore, specifically in that map, you could see that they did identify 6 priorities that were key to their digital transformation agenda, or the blueprint. And I think one is integrating services around citizens and businesses. As I mentioned, that government serve these 2 groups of people, citizens and businesses. So as you transform, and this speaks to those from public sector in this room, or that as we build or as we transform, all these services must be built across those 2 groups. But it also poses a challenge to the private. As we embark on a journey to support public entities, then we must know the clients who these particular entities will need to serve. Then, of course, strengthening the integration between policy, operations, as well as the technologies that we build, so that it is probably more ubiquitous. For example, if it comes to connectivity, people are able now to access this anywhere, anytime. And you're talking about ease of integration as well, and conducive policy environment that can help us easily transform. And building common digital transformation platforms. This could be cloud platforms. This could be common APIs that people can easily integrate to. But the advantage is it helps also entities, like in this case, government of Singapore, to eliminate unnecessary total cost of ownership by individual government entities. So what does it mean? That the government will probably now build a common infrastructure from a connectivity standpoint, from a data compute standpoint, and those individual entities will be empowered to use that resource, while at the same time now focusing on the core, while eliminating the unnecessary burden of owning their own infrastructure. But of course, also ensuring that this infrastructure is resilient and secure. Security, and the panel that was here just before, I think they've really expounded on issues with privacy, security, and so forth. But again, co-creating becomes very important, because if you co-create with the businesses, you co-create with the citizens, then the end goal is our platforms, our digital transformation journey as government will be accepted, because it is for the people, for the businesses, who are the end consumers of this. Then, of course, Estonia, nothing much, but I think one of the lessons in Estonia was, for them, the leverage on public-private partnership to really transform, so that they open up the space for private sector to come on board, help public digitally transform. So I think it is a good lesson, because this will speak to also eliminating unnecessary capex, because most projects that we've seen sometimes don't kickstart because of lack of funding. But through PPP model, we've also seen some succeeding, where private-public institutions will come together, initiate a project, but then work on a journey towards a revenue share or revenue generation that is shared. So it means that I can start my project as entity X with minimal capex, but then at the same time, I'll leverage on what will probably generate to manage the expenses, to manage the operations in future. And of course, USA as well, and they're saying, again, building an ecosystem around citizens and businesses. And you could see from a common infrastructure standpoint, and looking at who do we need to serve, the customers. So you can see in all those two cases, customers become very important in any digital transformation journey. The same applies to Australia. They had 6 focus areas. One, they wanted to advance service delivery, and of course, innovation and education, because now there's been discussion about data, open data, that help government innovate when this data is shared with private sector, as well as regulations, because they must have a conducive policy and regulatory framework. And of course, businesses, because businesses drive the economy, drive the country, and industry and those non-profit organizations who are also key players or collaborators of any government, and then the digital workspace. What we are saying, for government, we need the transformation in that space. The same applies for UAE. You can also see their focus areas in their digital transformation journey. There was a digital infrastructure. We had the unified digital platform, similar to what we've seen in Singapore and Australia. Then, of course, raising the capabilities. There's an aspect now here around skills, because for us to realize the full potential of any transformation journey, then our people must be empowered. So it has to be deliberate that initiatives towards sensitization, initiatives towards capacity building must also be part and parcel of that discussion or brought on the table. Then there are aspects of legislation and how efficient government need to look like. So you can see again commonalities on those journeys. Then we had a journey also as a country. I don't know how many are aware of this transformation from the days when we used to visit our booths to make a phone call. How many? How many were in that era? Because I was there. So we can see just a typical picture of what we've walked through as a country to this era now, where we are talking about 5G, we are talking about cloud adoption, we are talking about digital transformation. Actually, the government is now talking about even creating a committee of the future from the typical ICT policy. So it means that we are now headed to an era where cloud computing, IoT, and all those emerging technologies are going to transform how governments operate and even our businesses, because we've laid the foundation. And if you look at the plan currently going forward for the government with 100,000 kilometers of fiber, ensuring connectivity, because that connectivity everywhere is the foundation. Then public Wi-Fi hotspots, close to 25,000. The government has that ambitious plan. Data centers, aspect to do with training and capacity building for the citizenry. Looking at our digital ICT master plan, the plan in the next 5 years to train close to 25 million citizens on this transformation. So why is this happening? And now I'll speak again to both facets, public and private. We must be deliberate again to ensure that we define the business expected benefits of any transformation, as well as IT expected benefits. Because all these need to ensure that the businesses are able now to make savings, they should be able now to see the value, cost-benefit analysis, and see the essence of probably even adopting cloud or digitally transforming. Then the other aspect is cloud infrastructure. As you've seen, this is one model that is cutting across the digital transformation journey of all the countries I've mentioned. It means that we are also able to manage our capacities easily in a more flexible manner. And I think for us, as Konza, we've brought on board players to ensure that even our cloud infrastructure that we have at Konza is in an open architecture model, or we create a multi-tenancy model where we work with partners to ensure that we are able to provide value. But again, to prepare the country for a very huge compute environment, we've started other discussions. Like last month, we oversaw the groundbreaking of 100% green data center in Olkaria. And there'll be many others, because we are now home to close to 8 or 10 data centers, and they are expected to grow, because with that space, we'll be helping entities eliminate unnecessary total cost of ownership. You don't have to have your server room, but by a click of a button, you'll be able now to initiate your digital transformation through an existing cloud service provider. But of course, there are issues also with flexibility when our workloads are running in the cloud. And of course, even performance, where you can have high-performing computers with a different sizing of either RAM, memory, and get that by a click. But again, that space enables us now build innovation. You've seen, again, the use cases that I've mentioned, the aspect to do with data openness and countries striving to build innovation. So our cloud, which we build with a number of partners who are here today, we went live, I think, last year, around January. But we're currently hosting quite a number of clients, and we still see a huge potential that this presents to our country. And we're seeing the other aspect that we want to drive is innovation. And we are supporting and using the cloud to support the innovation community, the innovators. We work with partners, again, to initiate different challenges, like what we've done here today. We work with so many partners on innovation challenges with various actors, whether universities, innovation hubs, identify very good innovation, see how we can support them to eliminate that cost. And I think in that space, we'll be keen to, again, strike a number of partnerships here. In that journey, we've also been able to prepare to ensure that we meet the highest levels of certification or standards in a typical cloud environment. By uptime, we've also complied with most of our regulatory requirements as far as cloud establishment is concerned. So the product, we've developed quite a number. And again, we are saying we've created a platform where our partners, our solution providers, have built solutions with us. And these solutions, therefore, it means that for any entity looking at digitally transforming, there is already an avenue where you can easily work with us. From eBoard that we've seen, this was a local innovation. We've already now deployed this in the last 6 months to close to 17 government institutions. So you can see, we've got health management system. There's a project currently that we are even doing with 2 counties on the same. So we can see the value that probably comes as a result of building like a collaboration between public and private, where we make solutions ready for consumption by public, for consumption by private sector, so that when they get to that space, they'll probably now focus on the services. One has not to worry about where do I procure the hardware, where do I procure, or where do I get the software. So we'll want to have a discussion on how can you quickly activate your services. And the chief evangelist has told us that he's managing the .ke. So if you need a domain, then you'll easily get that. There are other, of course, products that we've done with players. I don't want to dwell much on this, but I think this is an interesting slide, because all those solutions that you find, we've been able to do so through a very elaborate process to partner. And this partnership, we've seen the value from a security standpoint. We ensure that we have different security products and services that as you run on that cloud, we will secure your application, will secure your environment. This could be also an as infrastructure as a service services, software as a service services, and many others that we've been able now to build. And again, on this space, we are inviting anyone, any partner to come on board to work with us on this journey, because with that, you could have a very good solution that could help 1, 2, 3 entities. And with that arrangement that we can strike, it makes work easy. We've done, again, a transformation on a number of projects, especially in government, through video conference, again, through partnership. Currently, we are doing Open University that we launched last month, but I think the platform is now up. All these we built through partnerships, and of course, we've been able now to see a lot of initial solutions deployed in government, because for an institution to digitally transform, I was just speaking to Harry, that there are the building blocks that we need. Simple things like unified communication, email services, secure websites, those are mandatory. So that even as institutions now think of bigger systems, the basics are already in place. And that was our priority in the last 6 months. But then the other space in terms of transformation for the country, what we are doing, especially through the Ministry of ICT, is our Jitume program. And this is also anchored on 3 clusters, like my earlier slide. One in on skills, the labs, and jobs. So on the labs, we've identified, our first phase was TVETs, where we've identified close to 120 TVETs across the country in various parts of the country. And we established a digital lab there with high connectivity as well as devices. The objective is there's an expected growth towards business process outsourcing. So the challenge that we want to address for our country is so many youths who are unemployed. So how do we want to do it? That we know the projections toward, it is expected that in the next 2 years, we'll have a BPO market size of around 658 billion USD. So what does it mean for the country? That India has done so well, employing close to 5 million people through BPO. We have Philippines. I think in this continent, South Africa is leading. We are still, with all the countries in Africa, the BPO, our contribution to the global BPO is around 2%. So we've seen a potential that if India can do so well in BPO and attract, employ so many people, then as a country, with now connectivity in place, with the partnerships that we have, most of the telcos here, then, and even our accent is super. So it means within that space, we can exploit. And that is the objective of Jitume, where in this TVET, we established the lab, and we've identified a list of so many private partners who we work with to structure certain short-term training, so that for a typical student in a 3-year program in TVET, they'll probably be able now to spare just 2 hours every day to undertake that course. And we know at the end goal is there'll be a job opportunity, a digital job opportunity that he or she will be connected to. So in that case, we intend to create around 1 million jobs within the next 5 years within this program. So we've done a number of hubs, and we'll be keen also to see players we can work with. And finally, as I conclude, a very interesting slide that for businesses and even public sector, for us, I think there was a mention earlier on the need to execute. How do we execute? Because it is good to have this conversation, but how do we move forward? I think the support that we as technical people from both public and private will need then to do is to see how we are able to help organizations define a digital transformation roadmap. It's very important. And from a strategy point of view, because I've had these 4 building blocks, from a strategy point of view, where we have to define for a typical entity the aspect to do with why, the cost-benefit analysis, they must see the value. That has to come out. What is your current ICT landscape? What do you need to do? And even if we are to digitally transform, go to cloud, what are these services that will need to move fast? And what do you do with your existing services or existing hardware? What happens? And what is that migration journey like? What are the current skill set combination? Do you have enough numbers, for example? Are there gaps? So that is a strategy function before the roadmap is identified. Then we have now then to help them plan. And of course, planning will involve setting priorities, because as I've mentioned, most of the entities will tell you they don't have budget. But how can we plan with what is there? Identify which workloads to address first, which priorities, which gaps to implement first, so that it is it could be a 2 or a 5 year roadmap or plan. Then making the environment ready, so that once these things are identified, then you provide for the destination where you'll house these guys in terms of the NAV capacity, what they need to start with, and even I help them define the expected projection in terms of growth. Then we work with them on adoption, because most projects, again, fail at adoption, where we had not seen through the need for a robust change management. How do we communicate? Do people have the capability now? Do we need to make certain modifications to integrate certain systems, refactor, re-architect this system, so that people are able now to see the value, the expected benefits that came from a strategy. So if we're able to help entities, for me, define, then this could be a contributing factor towards successful implementation of any digital transformation process or a project, whether in public or private sector. Then you'll also see other issues, soft issues that will come from a governance point of view, in terms of policy, in terms of sensitization, for example, in terms of skill sets and the rest. So those other issues need also to be identified, so that it is a complete 360 roadmap that an institution will then need to work through, and they'll probably be able now then to have KPIs, how they can monitor the success. And when they realize that value, then probably now people will easily resonate with that transformation. So I think now with that, thank you so very much. And what they do, when I finish at Konza, they always clap. Asante.